Good afternoon. I'm not going to do that thing where you can do better than that, don't worry. Welcome to the town of North Hempstead's Yes We Can Community Center. We are so honored to have our governor, Kathy Hochul, here for this bill signing, and so honored that you're choosing to sign this bill right here in Westbury, right here in Nassau County. Thank you. So it is my pleasure and privilege to introduce our dignitaries here today. If I forget anyone, it is purely my fault, so you can just blame me. We have with us four of the sponsors of this bill. From the Senate, Senator Anna Kaplan. And Senator Brad Hoylman. And we also have two members of the Assembly who sponsored this. That is Assemblymember Chuck Levine and Assemblymember Linda Rosenthal. And we know both Senator Hoylman and Assemblywoman Rosenthal are from across the border, so we're really honored to have your presence here today. We also have with us Senator John Brooks, Senator Jim Gorin, Senator Kevin Thomas, Assemblymember Taylor Darling, and my Assemblywoman Judy Griffin. We also have with us Michael Dowling, who is the CEO of Northwell Health. Now, we are in a town of North Hempstead facility, and we have with us Assemblymember Gina Solitti. Thank you, Wayne. And we have many of our wonderful officials from the town of North Hempstead, and thank you for allowing us to use this space. We have a town clerk, Wayne Wink, and three of our amazing council women, Viviana Russell, Marianne Dalamonte, Veronica Lurvy, and Lee Seaman. We have Bishop Lionel Harvey of First Baptist Cathedral in Westbury. And we have so many advocates and partners with us today as well, including Every Town for Gun Safety, Long Islanders Against Gun Violence, Brady United, Moms Demand Action, and our friends from the NAACP. Thank you for being with us. So I want to thank Governor Hochul for your strong leadership on this very important issue, as well as our sponsors of this bill. Huge thanks to Linda Beagle-Scholman. And her darling husband, Michael. I just want to thank you both for your class and your tireless advocacy for gun safety. You are out there. We know your story. And we know your pain. And the fact that you were able to just come out every single day and fight for common sense laws is incredibly inspiring. And I know we're all looking forward to hearing from you in a little bit. So you may have heard that Nassau County has been rated the safest community in America for 2 years in a row. But we will not rest until everyone who lives in Nassau County, wherever they live, feels like they live in the safest community in America. And these bills that are being signed today by the governor will help to accomplish that. We're doing what we can on the county level. We're working with nonprofits like Strong Youth Incorporated. We're working with Morrison Mentors, with Cedarmore Corporation, with ABBA, and with other, working with our folks at the jail, working with all of our partners to make sure that everyone has the tools that they need, make sure that they have the self-reliance so that they can reach their full potential and not turn to gun violence. Unfortunately, we just announced a gun arrest just before, had a press conference just today. Unfortunately, this is all too real in our communities. And I know that Michael Dowling at Northwell Health has actually called gun safety gun violence a public health crisis. It took a lot of courage to do, but frankly, it is. So with that, it is my honor now to introduce our wonderful new-ish governor, Governor Kathy Hochul. Thank you so much.
First of all, to our county executive, thank you for making Nassau County the safest community in America. You've done an extraordinary job and brought heart and passion to your role. It's been a pleasure to work with you, and I know that there's other communities who should watch what you do and the lessons that they can learn from Nassau County under your incredible leadership. Let's give our county executive another round of applause. And to our friends here in town of North Hempstead, I've been here so many times. I know you threatened to start charging me taxes, so I had to stay away for a little bit, but I think we're good now. But you have really, truly great leaders, and I know Judy Bosworth couldn't be here, but I've seen her and all of you at so many events, so thank you for hosting us at the Yes We Can Center. It's great to be here. I do want to acknowledge someone whose pain and yet her passion has brought us here today, and that is the mother of Scott Beagle, someone who I got to know very early on in my tenure as Lieutenant Governor. What Linda Beagle-Schulman and her husband Michael have done is nothing short of extraordinary. When you realize that so many people have been affected by gun violence, they lost someone they treasured, and those particularly lose a child, it's more than heartbreaking. It has a permanent mark in your soul to have lost a child that you brought into this world. And for so many, they retreat into that pain because what else can they do? They just suffer in silence. But it takes extraordinary individuals to say, I will not be silenced by gunfire. It may have taken down my son and other innocent children that he tried to protect when they should have been in the most secure place, their own school. You've been an inspiration to so many. And how you harnessed that pain and transformed it into action is something that is a lesson for all of us on the responsibility we have, not just to deal with what's happened to ourselves, but also how we can make sure that other families do not have to suffer. And so we've been to so many events together, and you just had the run this past weekend, and I know you've brought thousands of people together in your son's name around his birthday to raise money for this cause, also traveling with us all around to make sure that we have sensible gun violence, anti-gun violence laws, the red flag law and others. I know you're just getting started. So to Linda and Michael, let's give them a really special round of applause. And fighting gun violence is really a collaborative effort. It's the advocates, to all of you advocates who wear the T-shirts, you're out at the rallies, you never give up. I want to thank you for bringing so many issues to the forefront. People like Linda and Michael, but also our elected officials. And I want to just thank all of them who champion these causes day in and day out, what they see in their districts. They take it to Albany, they work to get it through the committee, they get it through the legislature, they get it passed. And what I want to do is continue to encourage them to do what they do so well and let them know that I will continue to be their partner, that we will come to more of these events where I have the privilege of celebrating their accomplishments because I pick up a pen and support them, but they've done the groundwork, and I want to call them out right now. First of all, Assemblymember Rosenthal, thank you for making the journey here. You've done an incredible job. This has been a long-time passion of yours, fighting gun violence, and you are truly making a difference. Let's give a round of applause to Assemblymember Rosenthal. Senator John Brooks is another one of our sponsors. I want to thank him for his incredible work, Senator John Brooks. Assemblymember Chuck Levine is here as well. I want to thank him for his work being a sponsor of this. Senator Anna Kaplan for all her incredible work in the short time she's been here. And Senator Brad Hoylman, who is also just in his responsibility as chair of the Judiciary Committee, has brought forth so many of these important bills. And to all, and Assemblymember Stearns is also one of our sponsors. And to all the other legislators, you are recognized, but know that I will be there to sign many of your bills, make sure they're all good bills so I can sign them all. But we'll continue this new era of collaboration. As radical as that may sound, we're changing things, doing it in a way that shows my appreciation for what the legislature does and the advocates. So let's talk a little bit about what our legislators and together we're accomplishing here today. We want to continue solidifying New York State's reputation as having the toughest gun laws in America because gun violence has not abated. We cannot say we have laws in place and we're going to rest on that. We have to keep challenging ourselves to address the problems as they keep arising. And as technology changes and as the criminals become more clever in trying to evade our laws. So we are continuing to make sure that we have those in place. We continue to lose people every single year. And I believe that this pandemic has really shaken people to their core. Many communities, including the city of New York, was one of the safest urban areas in our country pre-pandemic. I believe that the human condition is more frail than we realized, that what people had endured during this pandemic, the loss of jobs, the loss of connection, the loss of getting supportive services for people with mental illness problems, people who have substance abuse problems, it all sort of became fractured. And as a result, we've seen its manifestation in so many different ways. More calls to our domestic violence hotlines than ever before, more people needing assistance with substance abuse, more addiction, more overdoses from opioids and heroin, and also more people dying of gun violence. But here's the good news. We have turned the corner before. We don't have to remain in this place where people are so disconnected, who are still suffering. We have the opportunity to bring them back and bring our communities back. And I believe in the process as we give more people guns and talk to them about turning away from gun violence and from gangs, and to make sure that people don't feel the need to go into a secure setting like a school and slaughter the lives of so many innocent people. We have to get to people where they are and try to be preventative. But until then, we have to make sure that we have the laws in place that'll protect society, because that is the number one job of me as the governor of this great state, is to protect the people of New York. And so what we've done thus far, we've already announced almost $24 million in grant funds to help prevention, job training, placement, community activities, boost intervention programs. There are so many intervener programs which are really working well now. People are understanding that people who've been through the system, have been incarcerated because of their activity with gun violence or in a gang, they are the best people to come out and talk about what life is facing these young people if they continue on this path. So we're going to continue funding programs like that, working with our clergy, and I want to thank Bishop Harvey again for lending his support to this and so many others, because many people are just looking for that sense of possibility again, to believe that we're through the worst, that they can have a better alternative than turning to violence. And many times the clergy can have an impact as well. So what's happening at the community level, whether it's in programs that we see offered in Nassau County or programs that have been funded through the state, we want to make sure we continue those growing. But also, we have to deal with the criminals who, no matter, despite our best efforts, are trying to cause harm to other individuals. And we're going to continue seeing criminals going to extreme lengths to possess illegal guns. As much as we want to outlaw them, we still see what's going on here. Now we're finally putting a stop to that. We now have a bill that makes it a crime to sell the unfinished frames or receivers where people can actually put together guns in evading our law. Right now, that has not been illegal. And I want to thank Senator Anna Kaplan and Assembly Member Chuck Levine for what is going to be something I'm proud to sign, the Scott J. Beagle Unfinished Receiver Act. It's happening here. We're doing it today to put an end to their ways to evade the law by having component parts broken down and be able to use these guns in an illegal way. That'll help us stop people from building untraceable guns. The second bill is the Jose Webster Untraceable Firearms Act. I thank Senator Brad Hoylman and Assemblymember Linda Rosenthal, because right now people are buying and selling ghost guns. Who would have heard of ghost guns just a short time ago? This is where our legislature and all of us have to keep ahead of these challenges, or at least find out when something is being done to evade current laws, that we catch up with that and we stop it in its tracks. So we are now criminalizing the sale of ghost guns with this law, and it requires gunsmiths to register and serialize the firearms, the rifles, the shotguns, and unfinished frames and receivers that they assemble. So again, we're trying to get ahead of this, doing the best we can, and making sure that we put an end to these ghost guns here in the state of New York. The third bill that was sponsored by Senator John Brooks and Assemblymember Steve Stern amends the definition of a disguised gun, and that'll include a weapon capable of being concealed. So what happens is a lot of firearms look like toys. Looks like toys now. And so we are going to crack down on firearms that are designed to appear as toy guns. And hopefully that'll make it easier for our law enforcement to not be confused as to what they're experiencing when they're stopping people on the street. So I want to thank everyone here for what they've done to bring these 3 bills forward. I also want to let people know that we are taking this not just from the legislature, but also to the courts. And tomorrow the Supreme Court will be hearing a case, New York State Pistol and Rifle Association, against our New York State Police here in New York. And they're hearing oral arguments from them who are trying to continue to make it easier to carry a concealed gun. That is the last thing we need in our society today, is for people to be able to carry a concealed gun to places where we know they can do harm. We've seen this in other states. People have gotten away with this and they've caused crimes, but not here, not in the state of New York. So we're hoping to win those cases. So I want to thank everyone. You're going to hear from all of our sponsors who work so hard. So in advance, again, I want to thank them for what they've done to allow us to be here today, to, in any way we can, to honor those we've lost. This is a tribute to people like Scott and Jose Webster as well. So we will put their names on bills, but these are not just token gestures of our commitment. It is a genuine commitment that we are going to continue this fight. It is not ending here today. We are just getting started, and we're not going to stop until we know that every New Yorker feels safe and secure, and individuals do not feel that their only option in life is to turn to crime, that we'll offer them alternatives and a better shot at a future that takes them out of the streets and puts them into good-paying jobs. So we have a multifaceted approach to dealing with gun violence, but I want to thank everyone for their involvement here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor Hochul, for this great honor bestowed upon my son Scott and my family. Without your continued leadership and support for both gun safety and my family, we would not be here today. I first met Governor Hochul when she came to the rededication of Hart Place, our home street, to Scott J. Beagle Way. In 2018, Governor Hochul was with us at Temple Beth Torah when we celebrated Scott's 36th birthday. Governor Hochul was our official starter at the Run for Beagle Long Island 5K run in 2020, and most recently, she spoke at our Remembering Scott fundraiser in June of this past year. To me, Kathy Hochul is not just the governor of the greatest state in the country, she is my friend. I also want to thank the members of the New York State Legislature who supported and voted in favor of this legislation. A very special thank you to Senator Anna Kaplan and Assemblyman Chuck Levine, who helped to guide the Scott J. Beagle Unfinished Receiver Act through the legislative process and passage. I need to hear myself say that one more time, so if you'll allow me. The Scott J. Beagle Unfinished Receiver Act. I also want to thank all the elected officials, invited guests, my family, and my chosen family who came here to share this momentous day with me. I want to thank the gun safety advocacy groups like Moms Demand Action, the Brady Center, and New Yorkers Against Gun Violence for their tireless efforts to help rid the country of senseless and preventable gun violence. On February 13th, 2018, I spoke to Scott, and we exchanged I love yous and said, as we had every day before, have a good rest of today. I'll speak to you tomorrow. 1,353 days ago, Scott walked into Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School to teach his classes. We never had that telephone conversation. We never spoke again. He took his last breath that day after saving lives of so many of his students. Scott was murdered by a 19-year-old who shot him 6 times with an AR-15 assault rifle. From that day on, I made a vow to myself and to my son that I would do everything I could to put an end to the epidemic of senseless and preventable gun violence. And I would do this through both education and legislation. With the hard work and dedication of Governor Hochul and the New York State Legislature, we now put another tool in the toolbox of law enforcement to make that happen. The Scott J. Beagle Unfinished Receiver Act will make New Yorkers a little safer by helping get untraceable firearms, ghost guns, off the streets of New York. I love my son Scott. I miss him terribly every day. He was my go-to person. Nothing I do or say will bring him back to me, but the Scott J. Beagle Unfinished Receiver Act prevents one parent, one grandparent, one brother, or one sister from feeling the loss I feel each and every day, I know that Scott would be proud to know that his death was not in vain and that something important and positive came from his murder. The Scott J. Beagle Unfinished Receiver Act, signed here today, will save lives. They say that sometimes good fortune comes disguised in disaster. The personal disaster my family and I live through every day has given birth to good fortune, and the good fortune is the enactment of the Scott J. Beagle Unfinished Receiver Act. While colored by the murder of my son, this is truly one of the happiest and memorial days of my life. Again, I want to thank Governor Hochul and the New York State Legislature for enacting the Scott J. Beagle Unfinished Receiver Act. I also want to take a moment and thank every one of you who's here today for your love and never-ending support. To my son, Scott, I love you and I miss you every day. Your memory, your heroism, and your legacy will live on through this legislation. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. If you can't pass a background check to get a gun, then you shouldn't be able to get a gun, period. That's the message today. For too long, the unfinished receiver loophole let anyone get their hands on all the parts they needed to build an untraceable, unregistered AR-15 without ever going through a background check or serializing their weapon. But today, we finally closed this loophole. Today, New York is taking historic action and sending a message that we aren't going to wait for the federal government to stop gun violence. And I hope that all the other states around this country look at what we've done and follow our lead. I want to thank my partners in this effort, our Governor Kathy Hochul, our Senate Majority Leader, Andrea Stewart-Cousins, my colleague and friend, Senator Brad Hoylman, Assemblyman Chuck Levine, and Assemblywoman Linda Rosenthal, for being true leaders in the movement to enact common sense gun safety reforms here in New York. And most importantly, I'd like to thank Linda Beagle-Schulman and Michael Schulman. for never, ever giving up the fight to ensure that our communities are safe from gun violence. Thank you to you. Scott's legacy will live on this triumph and in the lives of those who will be saved by the new law named in his honor. Thank you both so very much.
Senator Brad Hoylman.
Thank you so much. It's so good to be here. I had my birthday yesterday, and I had a very large meal. And at the end of my meal, I get a call from Senator Kaplan. She said, "Don't eat anything. I'm taking you to Persian food when you visit Long Island." And I think I rose to the challenge. So thank you, Senator Kaplan. And Senator Kaplan, I think this community center is a testament to your and your colleagues' hard work in Albany, because it is absolutely gorgeous. And thank you, County Executive. And of course, Governor Hochul and Linda. I mean, we literally would not be here today without your work, so I appreciate everything that you've done. It is true, Halloween's only a few days away, so it's appropriate that we are discussing something that is harrowing in our society today, ghost guns. And the advocacy group Everytown for Gun Safety has said that ghost guns are the fastest growing gun safety problem facing our country today. Here in New York, Albany, of course, enacted historic gun safety legislation back in 2013, making our gun laws the toughest in the nation. But gun manufacturers and dealers have found a way around our laws by exploiting a loophole that Senator Kaplan mentioned, which doesn't require background checks for unassembled gun parts that someone can turn into a deadly weapon at home. All one has to do is go to a website like ghostguns.com to see how flagrantly these retailers market their products. And the problem's only getting worse. In the last 3 years, we've seen a 479% increase in ghost gun seizures across the state of New York. And there have been these promises in Washington to address ghost guns, but no action. Well, again, thank you, Governor Hochul and my colleagues. New York is once again taking the lead in ending the gun violence epidemic. Our law today, the companion bill to the Scott J. Beagle legislation, is called the Jose Webster Untraceable Firearms Act. It would prohibit the sale or possession of any gun that isn't serialized and registered with the state of New York. We're going to require that gunsmiths promptly put a serial number on any gun or gun part in their possession and register it. This is going to help law enforcement so they can trace ghost guns assembled from unfinished parts, and together with Senator Kaplan and Assemblymember Levine's bill, Assemblymember Rosenthal's bill, and my bill will ensure that ghost guns and parts don't fall into the wrong hands. And let me just say a few words about our bill's namesake, Jose Webster. On the night of September 15th, 2011, Jose was walking his girlfriend home when two men assaulted them. One of those men shot him to death just 10 days after Jose's 16th birthday. Natalie Arzu, Jose's sister, is a gun safety advocate with Moms Demand Action, and let's hear it for Moms Demand Action here today. Those red shirts in Albany have made a big difference, so thank you so much. And Natalie's the founder of Stories Beyond Statistics, a nonprofit focused on changing the narrative of gun violence in America. She couldn't be here today because of a medical issue with her mom, but she texted me that she wanted to share these words. She writes, "On September 5th, Jose would have turned 26 years old. Last month was the 10-year anniversary since Jose was taken from his family, friends, and community. Jose had a smile that would light up a room. Jose was a little big brother to all his siblings. This bill being signed today will protect families so they don't experience what my family has. Remember, this is a marathon, not a sprint." In addition to Natalie's and Jose's family, I'd like to thank my Assembly colleague on the legislation for her unwavering commitment, Linda Rosenthal, along with Senator Kaplan, our host today, and Assemblymember Chuck Levine, the Beagle family, and the advocates, Everytown for Gun Safety, my former colleague, Kendall Jacobson, who's now working for Everytown and helped us draft this bill, Rebecca Fisher from New Yorkers Against Gun Violence this year and deserves a lot of credit for her work, the Brady United Against Gun Violence, the Giffords Law Center, Jackie Rowe Adams of Harlem Mothers Save, and of course, Majority Leader Stuart Cousins and Governor Hochul for your leadership. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is an honor to be here today. I want to thank the governor first for her incredible leadership she's showing and signing the particular bill that I have. Linda and Mike, you guys have been there from the beginning. What you do, Linda, whenever you speak, you touch everybody's heart, without question. I want to thank all the advocates that are here. Collectively, we are building a better world, a better and safer world. All of these bills are just part of that foundation. In the last few years, we've made great progress. There's much more to be done. But all of you should take credit for how far we've already come and recognize there's more to do to protect our children, to make our streets safe, keep guns out of the hands of the wrong people. But we're getting it done. And Governor, your leadership in this area is going to get us to that shining point on the hill when people are safe and protected and we don't see on the news any of these tragic shootings ever again. Thank you.
So let me begin by thanking Governor Hochul for gracing us with her presence here in Westbury for this truly significant and solemn occasion, as you will sign into law the Scott J. Beagle Unfinished Receiver Act, making illegal the possession of the separate parts and pieces that can be assembled all too easily into lethal, unserialized, and untraceable weapons. Governor Hochul, you and I have worked together for years. I want to share this with everyone here. In a terribly difficult time in the history of New York State, Governor Hochul was called upon to lead and to heal our state, and she has more than met that challenge. That's a good applause line. And I'll share something else with you. I remain a huge fan of Governor Kathy Hochul. I want to thank my colleague, Anna Kaplan, who was the Senate sponsor of this bill. Senator Kaplan was relentless. She's always relentless, but she really was relentless in making sure that this bill passed in the Senate. For far too many years, the Assembly passed bills to try to stop the spread of illegal weapons, only to see those measures not just neglected, but emphatically and at times gleefully rejected by the political party that then controlled the Senate. This should not be a matter of Democrats and Republicans. Something is wrong if this is a matter of a difference between Democrats and Republicans, and something is wrong. Thank you, Senator Kaplan, and thanks to your fellow Democratic senators for standing up for the safety of New Yorkers. I also want to thank my colleague Linda Rosenthal, Brad Hoylman, and I want to thank as well Speaker Carl E. Heastie, who shepherded this bill through the New York State Assembly, and to all the advocates here today. We have stood together. We have stood together in the rain. We've stood together in the snow, and this worked, and thank you. My wife, Ronnie, and my son, Greg, are here today. I want to speak to our dear friend, Linda Beagle-Schulman, whose noble son, Scott, sacrificed his life protecting the lives of his students at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. Anyone who has lost a child knows enduring pain all too well. And to you, Linda, let me quote what New York State Senator Robert F. Kennedy said, and these were his words, on first learning of the death of Dr. Martin Luther King in Indianapolis on April the 4th, 1968. And these are his words. My favorite poem, my favorite poet, was Aeschylus, and he once wrote, even in our sleep, pain, which cannot forget, falls drop by drop upon the heart, until, in our own despair, against our will, comes wisdom through the awful grace of God. Linda, the wisdom flowing from your grief has transformed some of your pain into remarkable action. You are the moving force behind this law, with your and Mike's hero son as its inspiration. And you have won this battle against powerful special interests such as the National Rifle Association. I am truly proud to have been the Assembly sponsor. No other bill will ever mean nearly as much to me. Governor Hochul, thank you for your leadership. New York today takes real action to protect the lives of our people. To all gathered here today, let us resolve to continue to fight for common sense gun safety, not just here in New York, but throughout the entire United States of America. Thank you, Governor, for letting me share my thoughts, and sincere thanks to everyone here today. Thank you.
Please welcome Assemblymember Linda Rosenthal.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Assemblymember Linda Rosenthal. I represent the 67th Assembly District, which includes the Upper West Side and parts of Hell's Kitchen, and I could think of no better reason to leave the island, to come to this island, to celebrate the signing of these three most important bills. You know, back in 2013, I had read about untraceable firearms, and I introduced legislation 9 years ago, but the time was not right. But now we see ghost guns have exploded in popularity. Some ghost gun kit sellers have likened the increase in ghost gun sales to Black Friday. And they claim that they are struggling to keep up with the ballooning demand, with months-long delays to ship parts and kits. And we are seeing the consequences of the increase in ghost guns in the country and in New York State as well. The Rockefeller Institute for Government in 2020 reported that over the 3-year period between 2017 and 2020, New York law enforcement saw a 479% increase in recoveries of ghost guns. New York State recovered 220 ghost guns in 2020 after recovering just 38 in 2018. And in February of this year, state police were confronted with a person in Herkimer County who was driving with a loaded ghost gun. The following month, in March, New York State Police arrested a person in Ulster County for robbery with a ghost gun. 3 months later, police in Schenectady arrested a person in possession of a ghost gun. Ghost guns have appeared in communities around the state, and their presence is growing each day. Because they are unserialized and unregistered, it is nearly impossible for law enforcement to track them down and get the person who committed the crime. But this bill, the Jose Webster bill, will ban the sale and possession of ghost guns unless you're a licensed gunsmith or dealer. And it will provide a powerful tool to law enforcement by requiring that all ghost guns be serialized and registered with the state. We heard so eloquently about the Scott J. Beagle law, and I'm proud to be in the company of his wonderful parents and my colleagues, Chuck Levine's district, to commemorate the lives lost, but to also look to the future, where we can hope and enact legislation that will prevent other families from experiencing such tragedy. I'd also like to thank Rebecca Fisher, New Yorkers Against Gun Violence, Sam Levy and Mallory Nugent, Everytown for Gun Safety, New York chapter of Moms Demand Action, Diane Ronaldo, my constituent, David Pacino and Sean Holohan from Giffords, Kelsey Rogers, Tanya Shart from Brady United, and I'm sure I missed some others. And I'd like to thank Governor Hochul. She understands this issue. She understands many issues, and that's why we're lucky to have her as governor and lucky to have her who without hesitation said, this is important legislation, I will sign it into law, and I will celebrate and commemorate with all of you. Thank you so much.
And please welcome President and CEO of Choice for All, Jacob Dixon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm going to try this again. Good afternoon. I know the county exec didn't say it, but we're going to say it because I feel Scott's spirit here. First and foremost, Governor Hochul, thank you for your incredible leadership. And Ms. Linda and Mr. Michael, as an educator and as a community organizer, we take our children as our own. And so I hear and feel his spirit here today. And so thank you for your leadership as well. At Choice for All, our nonprofit organization that's founded in Roosevelt, started 10 years ago, our mission is to connect resources, services, and opportunities for youth and families all across Long Island to reach their fullest potential, as we believe that every child and every family will be healthy and thrive regardless of zip code. And for every child to be healthy and thrive, young people need opportunities to reconnect with their best selves. I repeat, young people need opportunities to reconnect with their best selves. And often when young people don't see those options towards a path in becoming their best selves, they may often resolve to issues that are related to, including but not limited to, gun violence. Just recently, 2 years ago, I had to bury my first student in my after-school program that was unfortunately as a result of gun violence. And it was not an easy task. But as adults, our job with this privilege of working side by side with youth is to reconnect them and build pathways towards that. And part of that is, as the governor mentioned, is prevention, preventative services, looking at the ways at which we could bring comprehensive programs across the board. And so, for instance, with investment with Nassau County through the Office of Youth Services, we were able to provide comprehensive programs for our youth from all walks of life. For instance, we had year-round youth employment, where our youth were working with farmers markets, not only in Roosevelt and in Hempstead, but also right here in Westbury and Newcastle through our sister organizations, or through Freeport and Baldwin. Or they actually did a healthy restaurant meals program that the governor just signed off 2 weeks ago, where they were actually delivering over 40,000 meals during the pandemic, and including this time here, working with a level of a community business and keeping them restored. All these efforts were done by youth, by showing them that there were different pathways and opportunities. And as our goal as community-based organizations who often serve as that bridge between government and the people to ensure that they feel safe, the other side of this work is, bottom line, removing illegal guns off the street. These legislations that are being signed today are critical steps to ensure that no matter what zip code that you come from, every child, every family, and every New Yorker is safe. And together we can make that happen and bring in that common sense gun safety reform here. And we're proud to stand shoulder to shoulder to make that happen. And so thank you all. So, yeah, Governor Hochul, I believe it's time. You ready?
Please remain seated for the duration of the signing and photos.
Our sponsors here.
This time they have your name.
Oh, do they? Yeah, yes, they do.
Good. Last time they didn't.
We have,
It's all on one.
Pens here. I need a longer name.
Make up a middle name.
Yeah, I gotta do something here. I'm in trouble.
You can sign your title. That'll make it look
That's true too, yeah. Okay.
I don't either.
I will write Governor. How about that? We'll try to.